last name for the record.
Maurice Dubois, D-U-B-O-I-S. The defendant does not suffer from a psychotic disorder. He's simply a bad guy who is inordinately interested in young girls. However, this predilection towards younger girls is a problem. Gardner manifests significant predatory traits and is a danger to the community. This is a quote from Dr. Matthew Carroll, the psychiatrist who evaluated Gardner from a case in 2000 which he admittedly sexually assaulting a 13-year-old neighbor girl in a violent attack. He later recommended that Gardner get as much prison time as possible. However, in exchange for his guilty plea, some charges were dismissed and he was sentenced to only 6 years. If a mountain lion attacked a person and was placed in a zoo and for the protection of the community, and a couple of years later a zookeeper decides to let the cat roam the park freely, it would be no surprise that the mountain lion would eventually attack. After all, it is the natural instinct of the lion to stalk its prey, and as soon as the opening reveals itself, it will attack. Now, who is really at fault here? Is it the lion whose natural instinct is to stalk and attack? Or is it the zookeeper who allowed the predator to roam freely? This is a question that I've pondered, thought about, and cried over for the last several weeks. This same mountain lion, or the mountain lion equivalent, is John Gardner. Gardner was on parole for 3 years following the time in jail, which he was still under supervision by way of GPS tracking device. Once released from parole and the GPS device removed, once again, this predator was allowed to stalk our streets. Less than 5 months later, John Gardner, forcefully abducted, brutally beat, physically raped, then heartlessly murdered and discarded our beautiful 14-year-old daughter, Amber Dubois. Again, I cannot help to ask, on behalf of my family, who is at fault here? Is it the cold-hearted monster? Or is it the failures in the law enforcement system? Or perhaps it is even all of us who have not forced and held accountable the people and the organizations who are supposed to protect us from these predators and whom are not. The courts ordered a psychiatric evaluation in the 2000 case, and the advisement given by the one professional they had evaluate Gardner was completely disregarded and dismissed. Dr. Matthew Carroll was the only one who saw Gardner for what he is, a dangerous predator interested in young girls. It's obvious the legal system has failed us here. With all of the missed opportunities that ultimately allowed this monster to stalk our streets and harm our loved ones. Now, with our last hope for justice, we depend on the prison community to slowly and painfully cause your remaining days on this earth to be a living nightmare. I truly hope you suffer 100 times the amount of pain you caused our families. You will burn in hell for the acts you have committed. I just hope that day is an agonizingly long way away and that you have to suffer as much as we all have. Actually more.